It's something we all think, that we're pretty much safe when we're traveling inside our own country. But what if I told you that a simple trip just one province over could end up being a huge financial nightmare if you're not ready for it? Let's get into why what you think you know about your health coverage could be a really, really expensive mistake. I want to start with a quote that just sends a shiver down your spine. I was told I was covered. This is what one traveler thought right before he was handed a massive, unexpected bill. It's a sentence that perfectly captures this huge, costly misunderstanding so many of us have. So, what exactly happened here?
So, this wasn't some far-flung adventure in another country. We're talking about an Ontario resident visiting Alberta who suddenly had a medical emergency. He just assumed his provincial plan from back home, OHIP, would handle everything. Spoiler alert, he was wrong.
And boom, that's the bill he got. $12,000, just for the air ambulance. A single medical service, all while traveling right here in Canada. This one bill really pulls back the curtain on a critical gap in our healthcare that, honestly, a lot of Canadians fall right into.
Okay, so this isn't just some one-off, unlucky story. It points to a huge misconception that puts tons of Canadian travelers at serious financial risk every single day. Let's actually look at the numbers.
Check this out. A recent survey from TD Insurance found that a whopping 58% of Canadians traveling outside their home province don't buy any emergency medical insurance. That's more than half of us just rolling the dice. So why?
Well, the survey tells us it's all about misplaced confidence. 44% of people just figure, hey, my provincial plans got my back. Another 36% assume their work benefits cover the whole shebang. And about a quarter of us think our credit card is our safety net. But these are just assumptions, right? They're not guarantees, and they can leave you totally exposed to big costs like ambulance rides, prescriptions, and a whole lot more. All right, so if a trip within our own borders can land you with a 5-figure bill, what do you think happens when you cross the border into the United States? This is where the financial risk just skyrockets from uh-oh to potentially life-ruining. Seriously, just think about that for a second. If an air ambulance between provinces costs 12 grand, what do you figure a pretty routine trip to an emergency room costs down south? The numbers are absolutely mind-boggling. Let's start with something that could happen to anyone. Someone shared their story online. They slipped in a hotel room, got a nasty cut, and needed stitches. The final bill for that one pretty minor incident, $13,000 US. Okay, let's ramp this up a bit. In another real-life example, a Canadian was on a golf trip in Hawaii and got accidentally hit in the head. After 3 weeks in the hospital for monitoring, he was handed a bill for nearly $600,000. He had no insurance, he had to declare bankruptcy, all from a freak accident on a golf course. And now for the one that is just a complete nightmare. A Canadian man had a heart attack in Arizona. The bill for the double bypass surgery and his recovery came in just under $1 million US. Luckily, and I mean really luckily, he had excellent travel insurance that covered every single penny. Without it, it would have been absolute total financial ruin. So you're probably thinking, okay, I get it, just buy the insurance. Well, it's not always that simple. A lot of travelers are shocked, and I mean shocked, to find their claims denied because they didn't really understand the fine print. You see, having a policy is just the first step. So here's the deal. You've got to understand what insurance is actually for. It's designed for sudden, unpredictable emergencies. You break a bone, you get a sudden illness. It is not for routine checkups. And it's not for treating a pre-existing condition that you didn't tell them all about when you bought the policy. This one little distinction is where so many people get into huge trouble. So what are the big tripwires? What are the common mistakes that get claims thrown out? Well, they can deny you if you weren't totally upfront about your medical history. If your injury happened while you were intoxicated because of something called an alcohol exclusion clause, or if you were, say, bungee jumping without getting special coverage for it. Even simple stuff like filing your claim too late can totally void your protection. Okay, enough of the horror stories. How do we actually make sure this doesn't happen to you? It all comes down to being prepared. This isn't about being scared to travel. It's about traveling smart. Let's put together a simple, effective checklist. And look, don't just take my word for it. The government of Canada is super clear on this. They will not pay your medical bills if you get sick or hurt in another country. Their official advice is that every single traveler needs comprehensive travel health insurance before they leave. So let's boil down their advice and everything we've learned into a clear plan. So here it is, your 5-step checklist to make sure you're actually covered. 1. Review, don't assume. Actually check the limits on your work or credit card plans.
2. Disclose everything. Be 100% honest about your health and everywhere you're going. 3. Read the exclusions. You need to know what isn't covered. 4. Understand the procedure. Most policies need you to call them immediately, right when an emergency happens. And 5. Carry your policy info with you. It's totally useless sitting in a file back home.
And all of this really boils down to one final, really important question you have to ask yourself. We often think of insurance as this optional add-on, an extra expense. But when you look at the potential for these catastrophic costs, maybe it's time we reframe that. Travel insurance isn't just part of the travel budget. For your financial safety, it is the budget. It might just be the most important thing you pack.